Hi, my name is Bruno Terroso, Executive Chef of the Vanilla Pot Restaurant at Poplar Winery, and this is Chef Derek Spanier. Today we are going to make for you a Spanish orange and almond cake, and let's go through our ingredients. Here we have 2 oranges, about 280 grams, and we have scrubbed these and roughly chopped them. 5 eggs separated. We have about 7 ounces of icing sugar, 8 ounces of ground almonds, and some flaked almonds just to top the cake for decoration. We're also going to pair this today with the 2014 Poplar Grove Late Harvest wine. Alright, let's start our recipe. First we're going to take our oranges, we're going to put them into our saucepan, and we're going to take our induction cooker and we're just going to turn it on high. Get some heat into the pan. We're going to take 1 tablespoon of water. As soon as that starts to get hot, we're going to turn it right down. Low, and we want to cover this and simmer this for about 30 minutes or until the oranges have softened and the excess liquid has evaporated. I'm just going to use a little foil to cover our pan. Once these have softened over 30 minutes, what we'll do is we'll remove the lid and shut our induction cooker off, and then we'll just set these aside to cool. We want them fully cooled before we puree them, and you can use a food processor or a blender, or you can rough chop them with your knife. And this is what you should end up with when the whole process is done. It doesn't have to be super smooth. As you can see, there are still some chunks of the rind in there, which is perfectly okay. And now we're going to preheat our oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. And we'll get started on mixing the batter. We're going to take our mixer. You can use a hand mixer, or if you're feeling brave, you can mix it by hand with a whisk. I don't recommend that. Could take a while. So we're going to add our egg whites. Start on low just to get the eggs going around. And we'll slowly bring the speed up. And what we're looking for is for the egg white to form stiff peaks. This should take a couple minutes. Once we've reached stiff peaks, we're going to add about half the icing sugar. And then we're just going to whisk this for approximately another minute. I'm going to shut this off for a second. Okay, so this is now mixed with the icing sugar. We fully incorporated it. We can let this rest just for a minute. We're going to move on to our egg yolks. With the egg yolks and the remaining icing sugar, we're going to add that into a bowl, and we're going to mix this by hand. Just use a whisk. And we're just going to whisk it for about 2 to 3 minutes, or until the egg yolks and sugar are pale and they start to thicken. So with this recipe, you can actually hold the batter overnight for 24 hours in your refrigerator. It does change the texture of the cake. It will make the cake a little more dense. So if you prefer your cakes to be a little heavier, a little richer, that would be a good thing to do. Otherwise, you can cook it up same day and it'll be a little lighter, a little fluffier. As you can see, Derek has done this a few times. So he's just turned 2 to 3 minutes into about 1.5 minutes. So once he has reached his consistency, he's just going to fold in the ground almonds. Once you've incorporated all the almonds, you should have about a thick paste consistency. We're just going to mix in about 3 spoonfuls of the whisked egg white, just to loosen the mixture a little bit. We want to mix in a little bit of the egg white beforehand, just to loosen up the almond mixture. Otherwise, when you go to fold it into the egg whites, it'll be extremely difficult and you will knock all the air out of the egg white. And now we're going to mix in our chopped oranges, or pureed oranges, if you will. Derek will gently mix those in, and then right after that we will fold in the rest of the egg whites.
Is there a technique to folding that people might find helpful? Just stir it.
Yeah, when you're folding in the egg whites, you want to pull the product from underneath and over top the egg whites slowly. Take your time, as you don't want to knock the air out. So as you can see, Derek is coming from underneath and then scraping around the side of the bowl. And this will just take a couple of minutes. Today we're going to use a silicone baking mold. You can pick these up at any kitchen store. If you don't have one and you have a springform pan, that will also work just fine. So we're going to take this silicone mold and we're just going to grease it lightly with a little bit of butter. We just have a little bit of butter sitting out at room temperature. for a little while, and then we just take a brush and just lightly brush it. Just make sure you get the whole mold in deep into the corners. If you're using a brush, be aware that the bristles on the brush could loosen. Just make sure you don't have any in your molds. They don't taste very good. So we're going to transfer the mixture into the molds. We want to have this level with the top. We can bring this cake batter right to the top of the mold because this cake does not rise a lot. It does not have any traditional leaveners in the batter. We use the egg white for that, incorporating air. So you don't have to worry about the cake spilling over the side. So once we have these full, we're going to place this in the oven for about 12 to 17 minutes. Again at 350 degrees. If you're using a spring form or another type of cake pan, you're probably going to want to bake it for about 50-55 minutes. You want to make sure that the top is nice and golden. And if you want to make sure it's cooked, just run a skewer through it. If the skewer comes out clean, then we know the cake is finished. Derek's just placing some sliced almonds on top. These are going to cook right to the top of the cake. They're going to give it a nice texture, a little bit of crunch, and they look really nice on top. So I'm just going to take this and place this in the oven. It's been about 17 minutes, and I pulled these out of the oven. I put them out to cool. I came back about 35 minutes later, and as you can see, one was gone. I suspect Derek probably got hungry. So now our cakes have fully cooled. I'm just going to take a knife and gently run it on the outside of the cake, just to make sure it releases from the pan. And then we'll just pop it out. We'll just set that there for now. We're going to grab a plate. I'll plate this up for you. We'll just take a little bit of our vanilla bean anglaise. Let's take our cake, put it right in the center. And then I've made some late harvest chantilly cream. Just got a hot spoon. Just take a nice little curl of that, place it right on top. And maybe just a few more slivered almonds. Just another little drizzle. So here we have our Spanish orange and almond cake, vanilla bean anglaise, late harvest chantilly with some sliced almonds on top. Paired with the 2014 Poplar Grove late harvest. I hope you enjoyed this recipe tutorial today.